Hello, anatomy friends. This is Dr. Alsip, and in this video, we will be discussing the various types of cells that are going to be associated with bone. So we're going to spend the bulk of our time discussing this first learning objective, listing and describing the different bone cells, and then we will finish our discussion by differentiating between the origins and development of these different cells. So three of the four cells are going to be from one life cycle, whereas we have one that has a completely independent origin. So let's list these four major cells associated with bone. These will include osteogenic cells, which are the stem cells. You will have osteoblasts, which are our bone builders. Osteocytes are mature bone cells. They maintain bone tissue. And last but not least, you have osteoclasts, which will be the cells that are going to break down bone. You'll also hear this referred to as resorption. Okay, so osteogenic cells, as mentioned, are stem cells, and importantly, these are the only bone cells that are capable of cell division. These are mainly located on surfaces of the bone. So this would include the external surface of the bone on the deep side of the periosteum. The endosteum will also be an important area, which you can see on the right in this illustration. And you can see that it's also not the only type of cell that's associated with the endosteum. And then lastly, you'll find the osteogenic cells in neurovascular canals throughout the bone. Eventually, osteogenic cells will differentiate into those bone-building cells, the osteoblasts. So, osteoblasts are bone building. I often remember the function of osteoblasts because there is a B in osteoblasts, and build starts with B. So that helps me with the function. And there are three major functions, as I keep talking about. The main one is that these cells synthesize and secrete the organic components of bone or of that extracellular matrix. And it's important to note that calcification or hardening of the bone or the inorganic components, it cannot happen without this organic framework that the osteoblasts are lying down. So even though the organic components are not the parts that harden, they are vital to the process of calcification nonetheless. Another more complicated function of osteoblasts are that they can play a key role in hormonal regulation of bone resorption, which sounds counterintuitive because we know osteoblasts are the ones that actually build bone. So how does it play a role in bone breakdown or resorption, which we will learn is the main function of another type of cell? Well, osteoblasts express receptors for parathyroid hormones, uh, PTH, and calcitriol. And when these are activated, the osteoblasts will actually promote osteoclast differentiation. So it can play a role there as well. This is a particularly important one clinically. Now, as the osteoblasts surround themselves with extracellular matrix, they become trapped in their own secretions, and then they become osteocytes. And osteocytes are considered the mature bone cells. They are the main cells in bone tissue, and they're actually found throughout the bony matrix, so not just on the surfaces. Neighboring osteocytes are connected via gap junctions, where their processes within the canuliculi are these spaces that are going to radiate outward. This provides a route for diffusion of nutrients and waste products between osteocytes and blood vessels as well. Last but not least, there are osteoclasts, which are the cells active in bone resorption or breakdown of that extracellular matrix. Now, I remember osteoclasts have a C, and you can think of them carving bone away. So carve has a C, and so that's going to kind of carve out the bone and resorb. Now, this resorption occurs at the ruffled border of the osteoclast, which is a deeply infolded plasma membrane that's going to face the surface of the bone. And the osteoclast will release protons to create an acidic environment, which is important for breaking down the bone minerals or that inorganic component. It will also release lysosomal enzymes to break down the organic material. So it will do both. It will break down all components of the extracellular matrix. Now, it is stimulated to resorb bone by signals from osteoblasts as well as hormones, and this is really important in regulating blood calcium levels. And osteoclasts are often the target cells for drug therapies to treat various disorders, such as osteoporosis, which we'll talk about in another video. To finish up, I want to discuss or reiterate in a few cases the origin of these cells. 3 of the 4 cells are part of one life cycle. So osteogenic cells will turn into osteoblasts, and osteoblasts will turn into osteocytes. Osteoclasts are different. They have a completely separate origin. It's here standing on its own in this illustration. And and it's a huge cell comparatively. It's derived from the fusion of up to 50 bone marrow stem cells, which are cells that are going to give rise to blood cells. So completely different in terms of its origin. Now, returning to the 3 cells, osteogenic cells are going to be derived from mesenchyme. And mesenchyme is an embryonic tissue derived from one of the 3 primary germ layers, the mesoderm. Osteogenic cells are going to be stimulated to change by a protein into an osteoblast. And once it's an osteoblast, it's incapable of cell division at that point. Osteoblasts, as we know, will secrete parts of the extracellular matrix. And as it continues to surround itself, it will become trapped and will differentiate at that point into an osteocyte, which is a mature bone cell. And an osteocyte is incapable of secreting the organic materials anymore. Excellent. We have reached the practice question. Take a guess here at this question. In osteoporosis, which I know we haven't discussed much, but we will, bone resorption occurs at a higher pace than bone deposition. Which bone cells are outpacing the bone building cells in these cases? So take a moment, try to answer this on your own. And when you have your answer, let's see how it compares to mine. My answer is going to be B, osteoclasts. So osteoclasts are the cells that break down bony extracellular matrix or bone resorption. And in osteoporosis, bone resorption occurs at a higher pace than bone deposition. So bone homeostasis is off in this case. Osteoblasts are the bone builders. They are the cells that are being outpaced in osteoporosis, so not correct. Osteocytes are the mature bone cells. They are not bone builders or responsible for bone resorption. And then osteogenic cells are the stem cells that will differentiate into osteoblasts. All right, excellent. Hopefully you feel good about these cells, and if not, take a break, go back and review the concepts, and then we can get into this next video. Thank you so much for your time and attention.